changed our reality and how we look at the world a little bit, I think. I've heard people ask this question. It's one of my favorite questions, and I'm trying to ask a lot of people this. Now, forget what we were just talking about for a minute, because I know that's on your mind, but the day that changed your life, if you had to say in your life, the one day.
I can tell you exactly what it is. It's when I was 16. I met a family. They were in their mid-70s, and I had been living on the street, and I had no home. I had nowhere to go, and I was just doing odd jobs.
Right.
And
I remember this story of yours.
And they took me into their home and gave me a bedroom, and it was just, I don't know why, because, you know, they were, like I said,
you were rough looking too.
Oh, I was a kid, but lived on the street, had long hair and faded out tattoos, and, you know, I had that look in my eyes of that survivalist.
Yeah, no, yeah.
You know, and it's just, it's a different person, and that woman, I'll never forget her. Her name was Beatrice. She was so meek, and she had white hair. She smiled. She was just angelic, and her husband was a military guy, and it was like those old black and white pictures where the military guy standing with his woman.
Right.
They were that family. That's what they were. They were just the family, and for some reason they took to me and took me into their home, and you know, I had to get my hair cut and go to church, and that was the rules. And, you know, obviously keep the grass cut. And,
and do some chores.
Do some chores. And
but was that the first time you ever felt really loved?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, it was the first time a male figure had ever been in my life that I trust. And I guess because up to that point it was always stepdads who were abusive, and, you know, they were on drugs, selling our food stamps. And it was just hard. And my mom, it was either my mom or my sister taking care of me, and, you know, and on through life, I mean, everybody that's ever really had an impact, or let me put it like this, that I've really allowed into my life has always been a woman. And it's, my guitar teacher's a woman. My business manager's a woman.
So it was the first guy that really, this person is legitimate, honest, caring.
Yeah, and you know what he did? It wasn't the smoke and mirrors. It wasn't the, you know, the lying and stuff. It was, he set me down and he spoke to me with truth. He said, these are the rules. Cut your hair and go to church. If you don't do those, leave now. And it was just that.
Right.
And that was like, I felt, you know, I felt the honesty in him. It was just.
All right, here's how it stands. Here's what it's going to be.
And I respected that.
Yeah, and that was a lot of years ago. Do you still, are they living still?
No, they actually passed away.
Aww.
Yeah, but you know, it was so cool because Russell left before Beatrice did. And I remember taking Beatrice to a school where I was going to sing at a talent show, a closing of the school.
Right.
But on the way back home, I think Beatrice was close to 82, maybe something like this. And she was sitting in the passenger side, and just something come over me and said, you need to tell her that you love her. Right. And see, I'd never said that because I'd never heard it. You know, I didn't,
in your whole life.
Yeah, I wasn't used to feeling that.
Yeah.
But something told me to tell her that, and this is the God's honest truth. I looked at her and I told her, I said, you know, I love you. But I said it real fast and kind of like, you know, I don't want to get all emotional here. And I said, you know, thank you for everything you've done for me. And you know, I wouldn't be driving this car, I wouldn't be wearing these clothes and have, you know, going back to school. And I went on a list of stuff, and she just smiled. We got back to her house, and I walked her inside, and she stood at the glass door, and she waved at me. And she said, goodbye, Jimmy. And I said, all right, I'll talk to you in a couple of days. And I waved at her back. And like we're like waving at each other, like less than 20 feet away, and it was the strangest feeling in the world. And it was almost like a going away party. We waved and we waved and we laughed and we laughed so hard in the yard. I don't even understand why, but I got in my car and I left. And the next day, I got a phone call that she had had a stroke that night, and we never spoke again.
Wow.
Yeah, that was it.
You know, what a interesting testimony to the fact that it doesn't matter how old you are, you can have a huge impact in someone's life.
Said that right.
Isn't that true?
Yeah.
Wow. I've got an email, Sue from Highland, and we want to play this song, and then I know we got to do some other business with traffic and everything. She says, Dear Laurie, I heard Jimmy Wayne's going to be in the program. Some years ago, I went to a show that Harbor Hospital put on with Clint Black. The opening act, I had never heard of him before, was Jimmy Wayne. Well, of course, I bought tickets to see Clint Black, but I was totally blown away by Jimmy.
Wow.
I became an instant fan, and what got me was when he sang Sarah Smile, which is one of my favorite songs. And I would have never thought that anybody could sing it better than Daryl Hall. But anyway, she just talked about getting a chance to meet you, and she's like, please, please have him do that. So I know you're not singing today, but we are going to play that song. And you have since met Daryl, right?
Well, John Oates and I
Worked on.
Had lunch together yesterday.
Yesterday?
Yeah.
Because I know you've been working on some music or something, right?
He actually sang on my record on track 10.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep, so we were out.
Yeah, I read about that. I heard that story.
Yeah, we were out in Philly yesterday, and the record label executive and my band and us, we hooked up with John and had lunch. He is really the most unassuming superstar.
Yeah.
Like, he's so incredibly humble. And I'm not just saying that because, you know, I'm trying to kiss up or anything, but really, I went out to his house in Colorado. He has some dogs. He has a cabin, like a donkey.
Yeah, right.
It's a mule or whatever. It's the strangest thing. He's a country boy. I mean, he just pickup truck.
Yeah, I'm a big Hall & Oates fan, man. I used to go to their shows, and I love their stuff.
Love Hall & Oates. Yeah.
And so when you ran into Daryl outside of a studio, you were doing a radio thing.
Well, I was in New York City.
Yeah.
And I'd sang Sarah Smile early that morning.
Yeah.
And I walked out of the studio, just like in the hallway here, and there was Daryl Hall and John Oates standing in the hallway, and I was
like, oh, I hope you liked it.
Well, I was like, did y'all hear that?
Right.
Because you know you can't really do it as good as they do it, but it's like, you know, you still get a little shy, and that's when we just kind of hit it off and started talking, and John said, "Hey, man."
And did they hear it? Did they hear it? No, they didn't.
They said they didn't.
Yeah.
But
John said.
He said, "Give me your phone number, man. I'll give you a call." And of course, I thought,
yeah,
you're right.
Yeah.
You know, this is the most successful duo in rock history. Why's this guy going to call me? 2 weeks later, I got a phone call from him. Kept his word. He's a good guy.
I love you. I think you're a great guy.
Thank you so
much. And I'm so good. It's just so good to have you here. And I'm thrilled about this new CD. I cannot tell you. I'm happy to have your voice back on the radio. We're going to play Sarah Smile, acoustic version with Jimmy Wayne, WPOC, and WPOC.com, by the way.